Howdy y'all, and welcome to another World of What Ifs. This week's we're going to be doing an extension of my very first video, the one where Bulma reprograms the androids, only this time it's going to be what if she reprogrammed Cell. Now I'm not talking about the Cell from the Cell games, this one will be about the one that Trunks and Krillin killed at the bottom of Jiro's lab. Now in this scenario, they would be taking Bulma with them when they go to investigate the lab, as it would make much more sense if they was trying to figure out a way to stop Cell and the androids. She knows much more about technology than both Krillin and Trunks. Upon discovering Cell, she figures out that she can alter the code. She can change what Cell will become, turning him into a defender of Earth instead of its destroyer. With Dr. Giro's computer now in her possession, she determines what is necessary for Cell to become complete, and how she can duplicate that process without the loss of innocent civilian life. As far as the androids go, she can reproduce the parts necessary. As far as the energy from humans go, that was only necessary to become strong enough to subdue the androids, thus not needing it if he's already obtained them. She could also do modifications to the cells used, adding her cells to increase intellect, Trunks's for compassion, as well as making Goku's and the more noble fighters the dominant personality, instead of the brash and arrogance of Vegeta and Frieza. As all this would take time, she would eventually meet 16, who had had a confrontation with our Cell, the one that we know. And after she repaired him, she could take a copy of his data and implant it into this Cell, thus giving him a compassion for nature, which would be very beneficial. Now here comes the 20-year incubation period, which would easily be resolved with the introduction of the time chamber. After Goku and them exit the chamber, she puts Cell in there and programs him to leave when he exits the incubation pod. So, 20 days after the Cell games, the new Cell emerges. This Cell has all of the same information that the previous Cell had, only this time the dominant personalities would be Goku, 16, and Gohan. So now we need a name. Now I don't know what to give him or what to call him, so I'll let y'all decide. We'll do a vote. What will we call a good Cell? But for the purposes of this video for now, we're going to call him the Z Fighter. So moving forward in the story, there's 3 possibilities and 3 avenues they could take. The first being, the Z-Warrior stays in the current timeline to help and defend Earth, trains with the Z-Fighters, and develops a kinship with them, Piccolo and Gohan especially, and to some extent Vegeta, keeping Gohan in shape while not letting his education fall behind thanks to the cells Bulma gave him. By the time the Buu arc rolls around, both Gohan, Piccolo, Vegeta, and Cell are all considerably stronger. While Cell doesn't compete in the tournament for fear of frightening the populace, he hangs back at the lookout. But as soon as he notices something's up, he proceeds to follow Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, and the gang as they pursue Babidi. He makes it there about the time Gohan's getting blasted away by Majin Buu. This prompts the Z-Warrior to immediately attack Buu. Now his regenerative abilities are nowhere near what Majin Buu's are, but they are effective. As long as one cell remains, he can always come back. So with proper planning, he's essentially invincible. All he need do is give each Z-Fighter a piece of himself. This means that should his body be completely destroyed, he can regenerate from any one of them. Now ultimately, he's not strong enough to defeat Buu, but he basically fulfills Vegeta's role in this aspect, sacrificing himself to buy time for the others to escape. Now he's not dead, because like I said, if he gave a piece of himself to another Z-Fighter, he can always regen. Now for story purposes, we'll say Gohan has the piece, so he's out of commission for a little while. So he's stuck on the Kai's planet, and still kind of having trouble regenerating, took a big blast. But when the Elder Kai is released and Gohan's potential is unlocked, Gohan is still carrying this fragment of the Z-Warrior. Now I'm not sure how it all works, but if he's part of the ritual, wouldn't his potential get unlocked as well? If he is on Gohan. But for argument's sake, we'll say it's partially effective on Cell. he absorbs some of what the Elder Kai is doing. Moving on, Gohan is fighting Super Buu. Gotenks gets absorbed. Gohan's getting his ass whooped. Cell's finally able to regenerate to full power, and him and Gohan and Goku and Vegeta are all able to successfully beat Super Buu. Thus, Kid Buu is never born, Vegito never happened, and that's the end of the Buu arc. Moving on to Super. Now, I don't believe his effect in the Battle of Gods would be very much, if any at all. Now, Frieza's arc, that one's another story. I believe he would be able to at least hold off First Form Frieza for a short period of time until Goku got there. Moving on to the Universe 6 tournament, I believe he would end up taking the place of Buu, giving our team a full list of 5 fighters. If you remember, they were allowed to bring as many fighters as they like, but only 5 could participate. All took the test, and 5 were chosen. So, Buu fell asleep, Cell didn't, Cell passed his test, Cell fought, most likely getting to fight against Frost, I hope, because that would be hilarious to watch Cell just mop the floor with that Frieza wannabe. And let him try to poison Cell. Just let him try, because it would be little to not effective. As far as the Goku Black arc's concerned, I believe he would have went back to try to help, and while he would have been able to help Trunks keep Zamasu at bay, he would have been little to no good against Goku Black or fused Zamasu. Trunks might be freaked out at first seeing him, but Goku and the others would quickly explain who he is and that he's not that Cell. Now, I also believe he would probably be one of the #1 picks for the Universal Tournament, probably knocking out Roshi or Tien. Moving on to the second scenario, Bulma would insist that he go back with Trunks to help him defend that timeline, as Trunks is the only fighter left there. Now, this may cause conflict with Trunks, but he trusts his mother and her advice. So, they go back, and over time they develop a trust with each other, quickly defeating the other cells and androids. He would also go train with the Supreme Kai and Kibito Kai with the Z-Sword, thus getting a nice little power boost, and when Babidi and Deborah arrive, quickly getting the crap stomped out of him, cause your spit don't work on something that can just rip its limbs off and throw them back at you. It just ain't gonna work. Leaving Supreme Kai surviving, Beerus and Whis surviving, and Zamasu never happening at all. Third scenario is basically scenario 1 and 2. Cell sends back a Cell Jr. or a piece of himself that can regen when Trunks gets back, meaning there's a Cell in both timelines, or a Z-Warrior in both timelines, thus preventing a lot of tragedy and being a huge help. A good Cell is a good thing. With all that said, what did you guys think? What did you think on my take of a good Cell? If you liked what I had to say, be sure to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and tell me what you would like to hear as the next what if scenario. And with that said, have a nice day.